To erase the traces of the body being there, one would have to get rid of the bloodstain as well.
Why make such a fuss over those bloodstains? It seems like a trivial detail to me. Or, are you saying that you can show me where those bloodstains went?
In court, everything must be said with evidence. Isn't that right, Varn Karma? In that case, I'll show you the evidence supporting my claim. Which piece of evidence shows where the blood in Mr. Master's room went? Oh, not the crime scene notes. Yes. Present! Victim's blood, let's go. There were traces of the victim's blood found in the fountain. Traces of Mr. Master's chocolates were also found in this very fountain. In other words, the blood was washed down the stream, which then flowed into the fountain. All of this points to only one possibility. After the body was removed, someone erased the bloodstains.
Gah.
Varn Karma, where was the body really found? If you really found the body, you should be able to answer.
You... Oh, how do you know this information? How do you know the results of the water composition test on the fountain?
Because I allowed them to investigate.
But, always a thorn in my side. From here on out, I will not allow you to associate any further with this case.
It's not like you were letting me do much anyway. Varn Karma, you still haven't answered my question. Or, are you admitting to the fact that you didn't find the body after all?
You say I never found the body? Where is your evidence?
Never going to confess.
I have nothing further to say to you. Gregory Edgeworth, this matter will be decided in court. We'll see just how well your logic holds up there.
Varn Karma, I know your methods are wrong. I promise, without fail, I will expose the truth you've hidden. Detective Bad, I'm sorry. It's because you let me investigate that. No, this was bound to happen, sooner or later. This is also the first time I have been restricted in my investigation. Your theory that they never found the body sounds pretty close to the mark. That I will make clear in court. If there's anything I can do to help, let me know. Ah, Bad. Even though I'm no longer in charge of this case. Then, though I'm very sorry about this, I have one more favor to ask of you. Hey, what are you guys whispering about? I want to know too! This will be my trump card in court. The information I've gathered up until now should be enough to prove Mr. Master's innocence. But, if all else fails, I'll have this ready. Your trump card? You'll see at the trial. Wow, I get to be at the trial too? Of course, you are my assistant after all. I'll be an ace attorney too next year. Varn Karma will never beat the two of us. Right. Although, I hope to clear Mr. Master's name before you become a lawyer. If Varn Karma is to be my opponent, he'll want the trial ended in a day. That's right! We have to save Master Jeff as fast as we can! After all, this is you we're talking about. I'm sure you'll beat Varn Karma! Jeff Master, alone in a dark cell, arrested on false charges. I must expose Barn Karma's lies if I am to save him. And I think that is the end of all of Gregory's portions now. I believe. Next part is going to be extremely sad. I vaguely remember this next part being very sad. Stuff. Yeah! Slow text. And that's all Uncle Ray knows about the IS-7 incident. So that's what happened in my father's last case. The truth of the IS-7 incident.
What happened at the trial?
In the end, Barn Karma defeated us.
So you couldn't prove Mr. Master's innocence?
We had gathered plenty of evidence to prove it. But Barn Karma was even more despicable than we thought. How he was a prosecutor who would do anything for his guilty verdict. That's right, and he really did use any means necessary. Because of this, the trial dragged on for about a year, until it finally reached a conclusion. I'll never forget that fateful day, when the judgment was passed down. The 28th of December. It's April now, so it's been a little over 17 years. How time flies. The 20th of December, 17 years ago. I was watching from the gallery that day. Before the trial, your old man noticed that Mr. Master was acting strangely. He was at the breaking point, both mentally and physically. He wanted to be found guilty.
No! Mr. Master didn't fake a confession, did he?
Yeah. That was what Barn Karma was aiming for from the start. Your old man tried to expose the fact that the body had not been found. Barn Karma used the power of his police cronies to squash that argument. That's squashed. Even went as far as to prepare a fake autopsy report. Then, they made Mr. Master give a false testimony and confess to being an accomplice. With Mr. Master's confession, the situation quickly became dire. But your old man had a trump card up his sleeve. Was that the trump card he was talking to Detective Bad about? Yeah, that trump card was to be our insurance in case Mr. Master confessed. He had asked Detective Bad to have Mr. Master's interrogation recorded.
Detective Bad wanted to know the truth too, huh?
After he was dropped from the investigation, he never stopped caring about the case. Even when he was involved with other large cases, he really was the definition of a true detective. This track is so sad. This is like, what, IS-7 Reminiscences track? Defense presented the recording, which proved that the confession was forced. Well, it seems the detective in charge of the initial investigation and interrogation, Rip Lacer, took all of the blame and was charged and dismissed. Still, at the trial, your old man exposed Barn Karma's corruption, and Barn Karma received his first penalty from the then chief prosecutor. The only penalty in his 40 years of prosecution. However, Mr. Master didn't want the trial to continue any longer. The curtains closed on the trial that day with the verdict of guilty. My memory of that time is fuzzy, but I was also there, watching my father's final trial. I think his final regret became my own. Your old man wanted a retrial to prove Master's innocence. But he passed on before he could fulfill his wish. After getting entangled in another case. Breaks my heart even now. that I didn't return home with him that day. What's more, to blind myself from my own worthlessness. Uncle Ray put all of his hatred on you, as a traitor for being Von Karma's pupil. I'm sorry. Don't be. It's natural you would hate me. After I became a prosecutor, I was able to get Von Karma to show me the case file. Mr. Master was found guilty for the murder of Isaac Dover. Eh? Wait, that's not right. Wasn't Mr. Master found guilty of being an accomplice? But this case file says guilty of murder. Oh, shit. I think your Pops was lying to you. Well, I mean, not Pops, but your mentor. There shouldn't be anything unresolved in the cases handled by Manfred Von Karma. Wait, can I take a look at that file? Looks like the charges have been rewritten. What? Look at this. The charge is accomplice to murder. This is a copy of the original case file I received from the courts. Why would the charge be altered? This file was given to you by Von Karma, right? Maybe he just didn't want you to know the truth, since you're Gregory's son. He would have wanted to avoid another retrial before the statute of limitations ran out, after all. That bastard! So what I've had come to believe back then had all been a lie. Like everything else with Mr. Von Karma! If you didn't know about it, just make sure you know it from now on. Statute of limitations has long expired, but the truth still sleeps, right here. After your old man passed away, Uncle Ray took over as Mr. Master's defense attorney. Although, Von Karma also had another prosecutor take over the case. Perhaps he thought that since his opponent was a rookie, he didn't even need to turn up. In the end, the real killer was never found, and Mr. Master was found guilty.
No! Is there nothing we can do, even now?
Since the killer was never found, he can't withdraw his confession. I found out after the trial that Mr. Master made a deal with Von Karma because Von Karma had threatened him. If you don't confess, Catherine Hall will be held under the same charges.
That's terrible!
I don't think Mr. Master really thought that Kate was the killer, but to protect her, he faked a confession. Miles, on the day that Knightley boy was killed, why do you think Uncle Ray was at the prison?
I see!
You went to see Mr. Master, didn't you? I said I'd visit him every day. I couldn't keep that promise, but I asked Katie Pie to look in on him for me when I couldn't. Through rain or snow, she went. Every single day without fail. But nothing has changed, and Mr. Master still serves his punishment.
So sad. Isn't there anything we can do?
That's why I came here. Because I knew those ice sculptures would be on display here today. So, what are you gonna do, Miles? I am a prosecutor. My position is different from you and my father. Miles. But, moving past my position, what I want as Miles Edgeworth is to know the truth of these two cases. It is for that reason that I am here. Okay, I'm gonna stop here. That's